Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Donahue,
Hello, everybody. I'm Graham Henry.
and we are with Flying Buttress, a MSP that deals specifically with architecture, engineer, and design firms. And there's so much buzz and so much confusion around AI. We wanted to begin a series of videos about AI, but specifically within that AED context. So we're going to talk today about some of the architecture, some of the terms, how we view things, and we'll end with our recommended approach. So first off, we are going to look at just to get some concepts set and to get some terminology set for those of you who maybe don't know the particulars of AI. So what you're seeing here is the way that AI works both within your firm and externally. You have what we call clients, and the clients are going to be whatever AI software you're using on the desktop. So that could be Claude, Grok, Gemini, ChatGPT, and there's probably at least 2 dozen other products out there that act as clients. Those contain the model, which is the intelligence behind what you're asking the AI to do. But most people are concerned at this point about how do I use AI for more than just asking about who won the football game. So there's something called an MCP server, and this is a generic open source product that allows you to connect your clients internally to external data sources, and some of them are listed here. So there's an MCP server for Forma or Revit. There's an MCP server for all of Microsoft 365, as well as Ignite if you're on Ignite. And there's an MCP server for Deltek in case you are a Deltek shop, which most of you are. And so again, the illustration here is just showing what are some of the things that you could pull from that you can apply. For those of you who have tested or played around with AI, you know it's a pretty powerful tool, and it's pretty good at drawing conclusions from a set of data or going beyond just a basic search engine. And now with the MCP server capability, these data sources that you use every day are now much more easily available to you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Graham.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about some of the categories and some of the layers that Mike touched on there and what you should be looking for as your firm is considering the use of AI. And I think the important thing here, especially with the popularity of AI right now, is that you're probably already getting questions from users in your firm. They're probably already using it at home and trying to use it at work. So it's really important for firms to get a handle on that and start to implement some governance to start to get these things defined before they get too unruly. And they are this typical policies and procedures that we've deployed for other purposes, data loss, things like that, that you see otherwhere in the environment, other places in the environment, so you can tailor those policies to then include AI services. So a lot of these don't have to be rewritten, but should be scoped to include those newer things that come out, like acceptable use, data handling, what happens, what goes in and out of the AI systems, what are those systems, what are the approval processes, keeping a human somewhere involved that's identified within the firm, ideally to monitor the AI usage, and ownership of these projects, because they can extend for long periods of time and have a large amount of scope creep here. So that's pretty important. The categories that we try to break things up into to make them more easily to understand, I think some important categories that make, and it's all of its different aspects, something that's more easily to absorb. And the first one is the general purpose category. We refer to that as like a language model that we are interacting with conversationally. A lot of times, this is your first exposure to AI. Most people's first exposure is when they open the chat screen, right? To OpenAI or to Claude or Grok or whatever chat service you're using or AI service you're using. This is typically the first entry point. So there is a lot of risk with this. What's get pasted in, what type of service it is, and what privacy controls that you have. Is it free? Is it paid? Lots of questions to ask here, but that's what we categorize into that first general purpose category. The next one is the task specific. This is where you'll start doing things like any internal coding, any internal processes or tasks that you need to do on a repetitive basis. This is where you really want to start to have your AI platforms defined and agreed upon. You want to build these tasks out in a way that's predictable and that has those governance items that we talked about before already included. You really don't want to get here without having those because it can really start to get out of control. And this kind of ties into the general purpose. This is also your first entry point. You've probably got a lot of tools already that have these AI tools that have just, been auto added or auto included in your products that people are accessing. So that's another good entry point, maybe a small license that you can add or things like that to add to your existing tools, but still should go through the governance process and some end user education. And then the last one is more of the purpose driven, the more in-depth, longer term coding projects, longer term skills, things that the AI systems do or have learned about your environments that you want to really, you have a goal, a desired output that you want to continue on those. Again, the more setup, the more work that goes into getting these going, the more governance that it requires. And again, getting started is important. Some basic things that we look for, making sure you know what you have, making sure your identity, your company is associated with the AI provider, and that you have certain agreements on privacy and know how you're getting your data in and out of those systems. And then continue to grow the project. Have defined goals for what you want to do with the systems, and then go from there. And then wrapping it all up and securing the product, having purview. There's a lot of tools out now that give you purview over these systems. So once you have them set up, or as you're setting them up, having this purview and having the day-to-day knowledge of what it's doing is very important. And that, I think, wraps up a lot of the things that you want to, general items that you want to start looking for as you're going into this new frontier, so to speak. Mike?
So the number one question we get asked is, okay, great. How do we move forward? What's the recommended approach to actually getting this ball rolling in our firm? And through a lot of trial and error, we have come up with the answer that we think it's best to identify a small percentage of your firm as, I'll just use the term pathfinder, AI pathfinders that have expressed some sort of interest in AI or utilizing AI, especially at the general level. We then recommend that you actually purchase, not just trial, but you purchase a program called perplexity.ai. And the reason we like Perplexity, especially for firms new to AI, is that it really just acts as an aggregator to a bunch of different client systems that are out there. So when you're in Perplexity, you can say, I want to use Gemini, or I want to use ChatGPT, or I want to use Claude. And it has to be purchased. It has to be the enterprise edition, which I believe is about $30 per user per month. But doing that, you need one of the core requirements for governance is purchasing the business tier or enterprise tier of these models. They give you controls that don't come when everybody just has their own individual license. So they need to be centrally purchased, centrally managed. And with the perplexity model, you can find out what models your firm tends to use. So if you're extremely image oriented, you're going to probably be down the Gemini road. If you're extremely research or question oriented, you're probably going to be down the Claude road. So, but this gives you the best of both of those worlds. So that's our recommendation. You start with that. You give them the purchase version. You understand how and where you can manage, where you need to set thresholds, where you need to insert custom rules according to your own firm. And then after that, you begin to deploy it out further and further until eventually almost the entire firm is using it. Because I can tell you that right now, 80 to 90% of your users are probably using it in one form or another. Regardless, you just don't have any insight into it. You don't have any actionability. And worse, you don't necessarily have any idea of work product that has been AI generated or not. It really, right now, it depends on the individual coming forward and saying, yeah, I made this with AI, and raising that flag. So yes, there's a definite price associated with it. Keep in mind that our stance on AI this time last year was the complete opposite. We felt AI was not ready for prime time. It was not ready for business environments. It was still too unreliable. It hallucinated too often. But our opinion on it has really changed. The models that exist now from ChatGPT, from Claude, et cetera, are brilliant models that we use every day in our work. Thoughts, Graham?
No, I think that sums it up. I think especially your last point about the pace that where it was a year ago, what you and I thought about it compared to today, and where we're going to be in 6 months, I think is going to be profoundly different world. AI is getting better at everything very quickly, and that obviously a lot of challenges with the firm, but now is the time to get in front of it and to set some of these policies.
So we're going to continue releasing videos on AI specifically within AED. But if you're curious about a more formal engagement, just reach out to us. There'll be an email on the screen and a phone number. But we're really just making these videos to try and raise the overall knowledge level of everybody, because it's a tidal wave that's coming, and we're technologists, right? We live and breathe in this stuff. And the wave is coming faster than even we thought. It's best to get ahead of it. Use it as a competitive advantage for your firm to either produce better, produce quicker, enhance your deliverables. There's a million reasons. I'll end with that. Thanks for watching this, and keep your eye on this space for future videos. Thank you.